weapon. This case is the Joe. We also have the Japanese bow. The bow's the longer staff, the Joe's the medium-sized staff. This is all about fighting with sticks. How can you use a stick, a simple weapon you can pick up almost anywhere, to immediately be able to defend yourself? How to fight with the martial arts Joe or the martial arts bow. That's what we're working on, this basic beginner martial arts tutorial. You're going to start by spinning the staff. In this case, I'm using the heavier Joe. Normally, your Joe is going to be lighter than your bow, but that Joe, or that bow back there, I've had forever. That's white oak. This one is a red oak bow. This one is an inch. It's a Joe. This one's an 1.25 inches in diameter. It's thicker, and this wood, the red oak, generally is heavier than the white oak. I think. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a woodworker, but that's been my experience. Tell me what you think. If you have both, let me know. Hello, it's good to see you, Heather. But you're just going to go side to side, back and front. You're going to warm up the wrists before you do anything else. We want to stay safe from injury in these workouts. 30 seconds per hand, and then I want you to practice going from one hand into the other hand. We're going to get immediately into strikes with your bow or strikes with your Joe. It's all about learning martial arts at home. A martial arts lesson at home, when you can't get to the martial arts school, or maybe there's not one around you, or you've been doing martial arts for a million years and you want to learn something new, something different, and what I teach is not what you have around you or whatever. All reasons are good reasons to train martial arts at home. And learning how to fight with a stick, whether it's the Joe or the longer martial arts staff, the bow, it's always just a good idea. Pick up a stick anywhere. Simple to know how to use it. Hello, Sensei Emmett. Good evening. It's good to see you. So now you've warmed up. You did the twisting. You got the blood in the wrist. In the joints, the muscles are starting to fill with blood. You always have to prepare yourself so you don't get injured in your workout, especially when you do self-defense moves, because we go kind of crawl, walk, run. We go easy, then we go a little bit faster, a little bit harder, and then I want you to commit in every single strike during your workout, your training from home. Hello, Kim, good to see you. So you have to warm up first. If you don't, that's when the injuries come. As long as you take your time and you're smart, you can go way farther than you could ever hope or imagine, as long as you give yourself that time to gradually, incrementally improve. It's a little bit of training every day, and then you're better than you were last week. You continue to do a little bit of training, and it not just accumulates, but it compounds. Very first strike we're gonna do with the Joe. Show you how to get behind your staff first. You're gonna put the stick between you and the threat. We're gonna call that bag the threat. I'm between the threat and myself. Imagine they might have a knife. They have a gun, forget it, right? You're not gonna block it with your staff. But they pull out the knife immediately, as fast as you can. As soon as you know it's a threat, that's when you attack. I don't teach a lot of blocking, and it's not that I don't know a lot of blocking. There's a million blocks. I just don't prefer them. Even in boxing, boxers know how to parry really well. But if you watch a lot of boxers, they're not doing a lot of parrying. They move their whole body, and their goal is to make the other person do what they want them to do, and so that they can be on the offensive. And I want you to learn how to be on the offensive in self-defense and not worry so much about, they pull out that knife. What's the perfect block to block the knife? Well, the perfect thing is to go right through their face, right through their eyes, right through their nose, right through their throat. Before they have a chance to close that distance, you're going to immediately strike. So that's the basic principle. The stick is between you and the threat, in this case, the Joe. First thing you're going to do is point your thumb. Pointing the thumb puts it in the back hand. So from here, goes in the back hand, and now I want you to thrust. And there are two ways you're going to learn to thrust. The first one is just pushing both hands. Notice that I slightly turn. This turn locks it in place so that if this is a heavier opponent or they're coming full force, full of adrenaline, and you push that in, there's going to be some resistance coming back your way. You need to lock it out so that your whole body will move back and your arms won't move back, allowing him to close the distance, or her, whatever. But you have to create this turning motion. See how that hand turns up when you thrust, and that's going to lock your arms in place on this very first strike with the Joe. From here, point the thumb, strike, and then that brings me to the second version of this. This is the first version, just from here to here. The hands don't move. The second is this and this, creating lots of distance. So it's almost like that pull cue strike from here. You're gonna push, and as you thrust, increase that distance. It's always more power if you step into it, but if you need to step back because you realize there's a knife, you can also step back. And I want you to practice both. Get behind your staff, point the thumb, practice moving away, and practice moving through the target. Now that brings us to target focused training. And this is from Tim Larkin. I hope a lot of you have picked up on Tim Larkin this week. He seems to be re-engaged in his YouTube channel. His book is called When Violence is the Answer, When Violence is the Answer. And he's very good at distinguishing the difference between martial arts for sport and self-defense. Self-defense using violence against violence, when violence is the answer. And it's life or death. That's what we're talking about, right? When you have to protect yourself, your life, your dignity, your loved ones, your family, that's when you use violence. And in this case, the violence is coming at the end of that hard piece of wood, this part right here, as you think of the target. And here's what I want you to add to your training today. You pick up in your head, you make a decision. One, you're paying attention to situation awareness, but you get behind your staff. That's a choice. You want to put your staff between you and the threat when you feel there's a threat, and then you point the thumb at the threat. And as you're doing that, you're asking yourself, what are the targets that you're going to remove or destroy? Either remove temporarily eyesight, the ability to breathe permanently, the ability to breathe and move, put them on the ground, take out the knees, whatever it is, but you're making this decision. Oh, good. Yeah, I know you're going to love it. You're going to love his book. I always get them on audio so I can listen to them wherever I go. So I was listening to it again recently because, again, Tim Larkin, his channel, he's getting more active, it seems. Fantastic, does a fantastic job. Really good stuff. From here, you point the thumb and you thrust, and if the target, nose, eyes, mouth, you're going to say that target in your head or out loud. Either way is fine. You can say eyes, eyes, eyes. And the basic idea is if he's got that knife, right, or you don't know what they have, or you don't know what kind of fighter they are, you just know that you're in big trouble. That's why you're carrying your stick in the first place, your walking stick, or in this case, the Joe. You're going for that operating system. Shut that down, knock him out. And then all of the threat goes away, right? From here, if you go, you try to knock that knife out of the way, or try to do a parrying. Like I said, there are a million different ways to block with this thing and with anything else, but don't focus on blocks. Violence is the answer in this case from Tim Larkin. That's going right through his face. That the violence at the end of this hard piece of oak, right? So the first strike you're going to do with both your Joe or the longer martial arts staff. And the longer martial arts staff, in this case the Japanese bow or the Korean jangbong, the threat will now can be much farther. There, you still see my finger there. You can create a lot more distance, a lot more quickly. You don't have to let them get so close. Hey, buddy, back up. You point that thumb. Now they've got to get around that length of white oak. And where that thing is heavier, this thing is a lot stronger. So from here, remember I said the other one was that thicker diameter. This is just about an inch. There's that Bujin. Bujin Designs made this one. I got a bicycle in the way there. From here, thrust. From here, between you and the threat, your piece of staff or your wood, and you're just gonna thrust, and then like I said before, you can move away from the attack, or you can move through the attack. Like a spear, right? Going right through, and then say the name, say the words, what your targets are. Target focus training, as I understand it, and Tim Larkin himself could come and say, you're full of poo, you don't know what you're talking about, and he would probably be right. But this is what I understand from what he said to me through his book, through his words. He didn't call me on the phone or anything, but what I read and what I understood was, and I've been to other seminars, other people have been talking about the same idea. In fact, if you think about Kendo, the Japanese, the sport of sword fighting, they use the shinai or the bamboo sword. When you practice, you say your targets because it moves so fast. Kendo fighting so fast. I don't know if you've ever seen it so extremely fast. And you have to train not just on the proper strike, but on striking the target. on targeting your strike. So in this case, it's the same concept, face, right? I better look at it, I'm not gonna hit it. Face, throat, solar plexus, groin. And we say groin a lot of times, we really mean the private parts in martial arts. We've always said that, right? Trying to be politically correct. But your target can be where the belly button is, anything below until you hit the legs. And there's that thin piece of meshy muscle that keeps your guts in. And if you've ever had a hernia and they had to cut you open and sew it back, stick your guts back in with 2 fingers, you can picture it, right? I've never had one, but when I was in the Marine Corps, one of my bunkmates, second time I went through infantry school, the second time, that's a funny story, but the second time when I went back through, and the first sergeant called me in and he said, "What are you doing here? You were here last time. Last time you were the honor graduate of the whole company. What'd you do? Who'd you make mad?" And I started laughing to myself, and I said, it's a long list. Anyway, I was a military policeman, and it was after the Gulf War, and they were retraining us for other jobs or something. Yeah, your oblique muscles, but then down here, right? The lower abs are in there, but there's that thin amount of muscle, and from here, you just go straight through there, through here. But the key is I want you to call it out. I want you to say throat, face, eyes. And this is how you fight with a stick. Knowing how to fight with a jo or a bo in the most simple terms, not in the most traditional terms. Most traditional, right now, if you're a traditional Kobudo, Okinawan, Bojutsu, who knows what, third generation from the lineage of you're cringing. You're saying, you're not even holding it right. You're not saying the word right. You can't say bow staff. I get it. I understand. You're right, 1,000%. You're 100% right. But what I want you to know is that when you pick up a stick, you get behind the stick, you point it, and you stick it through them for self-defense. Don't get complicated. Don't get fancy from the start. Get fancy once you get the basics down, and then go learn the finer points and learn how to do all the proper techniques and all the Japanese words or Okinawan words or Korean words or Chinese, all that stuff. Knock yourself out, right? Become a linguist for all I care. But as long as we're working together, first things first, learn how to defend yourself in a very basic, practical way. Now, the second strike is what happens if it's in your backhand, because this is ideal for me. I like this. I like the idea of making you get around that stick to close the distance. And I'm going to hit you as you go by. Or ideally, first time, as soon as I realize you're a threat, I'm not waiting. I'm going right through the middle, right? The middle of your face for self-defense is when I say through the middle. Now, the second is if it's in the backhand. So if I'm walking down the street, and maybe it's a hiking stick. Maybe it's a trekking pole. Maybe you are visually impaired. Hello, Paul. Yeah, absolutely. You're right. So when I was in the Marine Corps and in the Army, we trained with the rifle and the bayonet. And this is the same thing, Paul. That's a bayonet strike. We're about to do a rifle butt strike. So you probably saw this coming, right? It's in the backhand. The threat's here. I still want to get the stick between me and the threat. It's the way I do that, where before I pointed my thumb, pointing the thumb in the front hand puts it in your backhand just naturally. You're just waiting for it. And if you practice it, it'll happen very quickly. Now you're going to point the small side. You're not necessarily pointing the pinky, but you're pointing that hard 5 bony protuberance there. I don't even think that's the right word. That little bony sticking part from here, sticking out, and then you're going to aim that at your target. Now, just like before, they have to close the distance. They've got to get around that. You're back into a position of authority. You're back into a position of preference for you. What am I looking for? An advantage. This is an advantageous position. From here to here, now it's easier. And I find that this is strong, but that's a lot stronger. And if you've ever done the rifle butt, the course, and you're running through and you're sticking the tires, right? And you're hitting them with jab and hook, jabbing and smashing. Getting all excited, remembering boot camp, remembering infantry school twice, remembering all those fun infiltration courses and confidence courses. I love that kind of stuff. Just up the road in Fort Pierce, they've got the U.S. Navy SEAL Museum, because the Navy SEALs started here in sunny South Florida. I don't know if you knew that, but yes, I love it too. But what I'm trying to tell you. Oh, there's a course up there. You can run the course. Even now, in times of COVID, what they say is, there's like a little disclaimer, run at your own risk. We don't assume, and you have to sign a waiver that when you fall off the Navy SEAL, the top of the thing, and you crush, they're not taking any responsibility. That's all on you, which is fine, right? That's how it should be. And then there's a little sign that says, if you want to wear your mask while you run it, go for it. But if you like to take it off, as long as no one's around, go for that too. So you guys come down here, we'll train together, we'll get the staff, we'll start hooking and jabbing, and then we'll run up the street to the Navy SEAL Museum. We'll run that course. Plus you got to see all the boats that are up there. It's pretty cool. All right, so it's in your backhand, you pull it up, and you thrust. From here, straight through. And again, I want you to think of targets. Throat, right? Eyes, solar plexus. Oh, I missed the solar plexus. I better hit him again. And then go for that target. Yeah, and you're welcome. And I know we're going to do it. I know one of these days, either COVID's gone or it's not, and we're just fed up and we say, look, we might as well do something while we're sitting around doing nothing. Let's get together and let's spin some weapons. Let's train. Let's go some hand-to-hand. Let's get some close quarters combat. Let's do some CQB. Let's talk about weapon retention. We'll do all that stuff. And then we'll run up. We'll get in the... I used to have vans. We don't have vans anymore. I've got a small school down here, so we'll get the rental cars out. We'll all get in our rental cars and we'll go up the street to the Navy SEAL Museum. Now, I know I'm digressing a little bit. I'm kind of stalling because I was thinking, what was I going to show them? And I just remembered. I know we got a lot of martial arts instructors right here, right now in this one, and you guys are laughing because I know you've done it too. I haven't seen Bill Wallace, but my boxing coach, I think he's opening a new school, and I'm going to run over to the boxing gym. I'll show you, Paul, what happens if they absorb the strike and grab the bow, but I'll go looking for him. I've been thinking, he's been on my mind almost every day. It's like Rocky Balboa himself. Sylvester Stallone just moved down the street, down that way in Palm Beach, over where the former president lives, on Palm Beach, where all the billionaires live. And then Bill Superfoot Wallace lives over there. And I thought, how fun would it be? We could all get together at Michael Jordan's house, who's the GOAT, and we'll all, I don't know if he does martial arts or not. He's a big guy, though. You always want to fight a big guy every once in a while. In Florida, sunny South Florida. I'm in West Palm Beach, just north of Miami, Fort Lauderdale. I say just north, but it'll take you about an hour and a half to get here, especially if there's a lot of traffic. Which one? Rocky Balboa, Bill Superfoot Wallace, or I know he's Wallace Superfoot. He's a good guy. He and I worked out at the same boxing gym. Is why Sensei Emmett's asking me, have I seen him? And he's in that age. Maybe he's concerned about the COVID. I don't know. My suspicion is he's a low-profile kind of guy, and he's probably out there. He's still working out every day in the corner of the gym, the corner of the boxing ring or whatever. All right, backhand, shorter staff, the Joe, same thing. From here, point it, thrust, point, thrust, point, thrust. Now, Paul, you asked what happens if they absorb it. Yeah, Sylvester Stallone, he just moved down here to Palm Beach. And we're going to strike. They absorb it. And the key to almost all martial arts weapons, when someone grabs them, this is weapons retention. If we had a sidearm, I would show you weapons retention on that. It's a little bit different, but the principles are always about the same. So from here, I'm going to strike. He absorbs it. I'm going to smash the top of his head for self-defense. If I put it in here and he grabs it like this, now he's got a lot of ability to pull back. And let's say he's younger, stronger, bigger. Maybe there are two guys holding on to it against you, one person. And all their power is in this motion. You're going to give them what they want. They want to pull it out of your hands. You're not going to take your hands off, but you're going to allow it to go in the direction that they're pulling. And as that's happening, you're going to keep both hands on, slide until that creates that pivot point, which it will, because they're here, and then all of a sudden, they're not strong in this position. They're strong here because those big back muscles are pulling. They're not strong here in these little wrist muscles, right? Let the little wrist muscles do little work, and let the big muscles, back muscles, do the big work. I think that was some reference to some song. Danny, you feeling me? I don't know if it's Danny, Larry. Who was that? The pinky to the sky guy? I don't know what his name is. Anyway, pinky to the sky guy, he's grabbing my staff. Oh, we're here. You let him have it. You come straight in. No, and you're right, they're not defending their head. All they're thinking about is ripping that out of there and beating you with it because they're mad that you're defending yourself, but it's your right to defend yourself. You're not even gonna think about no, it's not Dr. Evil, but you're right, the little pinky guy, Dr. Evil. No, he's a singer. The songs, the tunes, the beats in my head. It's got Mark Ronson in it. It's like put your pinky fingers to the moon or something. Anyway, it'll come to me. I'm hitting him here. He's pulling on it. Smash. He's pulling on it. What I'm doing is I'm allowing this hand to go forward to create a pivot point for myself as I push this one up. Now, you're very strong in this motion. And this motion, this is back muscles, chest muscles, core muscles, turning your shoulder muscles. So you have a lot of strength here. And again, his strength is not here, it's here. So you first push there. So now he's taking the pressure off of it. And you're coming up here. Oh, thanks, Phil. And you're coming here and bam, straight over the top. That's works. That's the basics. Once we get together, before we go up to the Navy SEAL Museum to run the obstacle course, I'll show you how it works. We'll practice every single scenario you can imagine. What if he grabs it like this? What if he grabs it like that? What if he grabs it with two arms and a leg? I don't know. What if he wraps it? I'll show you how to defeat it, and almost every time it's going to be a turn or a spin, not a kung fu spin, not a finger roll, not a wrist roll, but a turning motion. The basic principles of jiu-jitsu, of almost all grappling, right? Twisting and turning, spirals. The basic principles of most traditional martial arts, even though not everybody knows them or teaches them anymore, but they do work. And this is, when it comes to weapon retention, you have to know how to do that. There you go. Thanks, Kim. Wasn't him, though. Wasn't Neil? That's funny. You know, Neil Armstrong, that's another Ohio boy. He's up from like Findlay, Akron, not Akron, as you go up toward Toledo. You used to go by his boyhood home, the Neil Armstrong Museum, right on the side of 75, headed up toward Toledo. From Dayton to Toledo, it's up there somewhere. Findlay, Troy, one of those areas. I don't remember. Anyway, I don't know why. Something else was reminding me of Ohio that somebody said a minute ago. That's where I'm from. Not anymore. It's nice and sunny outside. I must be in Florida. All right. So from here, same principle. They grab it. You just come over the top. Let's talk about one more basic strike. One more basic strike. You're behind your staff. You point the thumb. You thrust. And then I want you to come through and clear the back side. I want to go into the face and then to the side of the head, right? So I'm going to go in through the throat and the side of the head. And yeah, absolutely. So 1, 2, and I want you to do one more just down on top so we can do a 3-strike combination. We're going to do that with both staffs again. Whether it's the bow or the jo, basic self-defense, you create the distance, strike, strike. Make sure you practice on both sides. Distance, backhand, over the top. Make sure you don't do that. Smash yourself. I hope you caught that. I just hit myself a little bit. That's what happens when you look at the camera and you're not paying attention to what you do. In the other hand, you point, push, strike, and then down. Make sure your staff's coming to the side and not between your legs. I didn't do that on purpose either. That just kind of happened because I wasn't paying attention. But that's the beauty of the weapon. You learn really fast. And when you start to do it, oh, good, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's all principles. Techniques will get you killed. Principles will save your life. And that just means that if you learn technique A, B, C, D, and then the scenario isn't set up the way that you learned it, and you get stuck thinking about it. There was a famous saying by a famous boxer, Jack Dorsey. And he was talking about a fight. He was fighting somebody who was supposed to beat him and was the favorite fighter. And the commentator saying, you fought this guy. This guy was supposed to win. What happened? What happened? It looked like you changed your fighting style. You're usually this, but you just came out, you're a brawling. You weren't as fancy. And he said, I thought about it. I knew how to fight this guy. He's a very cerebral. He's a very smart fighter. And he said the whole time we were fighting, I could see he was thinking about it. He was thinking about it. And the whole time he was thinking, I was punching him in the face. And I heard that and I thought, boy, you can't get more brilliant than that in simplicity. So when you fight somebody who's really cerebral and then they're thinking, they got all these, it's like playing chess with some people, right? Yes, you're right, Kim. This is all crossover to the cane. In fact, I thought about doing 3 sticks, and I thought, now I'll keep it to 2 because I haven't shown the bow strike or the staff strikes very. Yeah, Mike Tyson has that famous saying. That's just kind of, I think it's a recycled Jack Dorsey. Is it Jack Dempsey? I don't know why I say Dorsey. Dempsey. Jack Dempsey quote. He said, the whole time the guy was thinking, I was punching him in the face. And that's how he beat him, right? The other guy's got this plan, that plan, the other plan, or he's thinking of this. And that's where the difference between principles and techniques. What's the principle? Hit him. If that's the principle, if you hit him here and his hands are up, then you're hitting him here. If his hands go down there, you're hitting him here. If they come down here, you're going over the top. And a good fighter, you'll see they've got all those angles, and they practiced a million techniques. So you need the techniques. It's not like don't practice techniques, but I understand the principle. Don't get so in love with this that when you're here, you don't know how to do that, right? So let's talk about that. Same as before, the 3 strike combination. You have the thrust, and then you're going to bring it through. And you have this leverage, but look where my hand is. The hand's not coming up over the top. It's coming straight forward. And I'm both pulling here with this hand, and I'm pushing with this one, and I'm turning my body. Now, when you strike, you have to allow your hand to come over a little bit, because if it still comes here, it's going to put a lot of pressure on that thumb joint. So you let it come over just a little bit, but don't overthink it. You're going to do it naturally. It's in the backhand. You strike, horizontal strike, and then bring this one up and straight down on top. I just want you to understand or think about not the angles of attack, but the target, right? So I think face, and then I think the side of the head, and then I think the top of the head, and you have a big piece of wood in your hand, you can do that. And again, works with bow staff, works with the bow, works with the Joe. It's in the backhand, thrust, bring it across here. It's almost like a baseball bat. Your hands are together, by the way. Anytime you bring your hands together with a martial arts weapon, you create a pivot point, meaning you're going to have maximum power, but you're going to have a difficult time stopping it. And a lot of our strikes are more about precision and this kind of a thing, and being able to stop it so that you can keep the weapon between yourself and the threat. In other words, you can go like this and you do a swing and a miss. I was thinking of a whiff. Swing and a miss, whiff. And you miss him, and then he closes the distance. He's got that knife. You're in big trouble. You go like this, and you smash, and you don't quite hit him. You can still thrust. You can still come down over the top. You can still bring that backside down over the top. So having your hands apart on all your strikes are very important. Now, you can learn all of these. You can learn all of the fancy Joe techniques, right? And learn how to use it the way they do in Aikido or a Jiu-Jitsu class, Jodo class, whichever one you go to. Depending on what they have near you. They almost never have a good Joe class anywhere, which is why I teach it so much here. And I, by no means, am the, thank you, I appreciate it. I'm not the end-all, be-all when it comes to martial arts weapons. I just like to train every single day, and I like to share with you what I'm learning. Even when I hit myself between the legs because I wasn't paying attention, which is always a good lesson to learn. And again, like I said, we've got a lot of martial arts instructors on this chat right now, and everyone will tell you that we all make mistakes over and over and over again. And as soon as you stop making mistakes, or you stop wanting to make mistakes, that's when no one should ever listen to you again until you start making mistakes again. Because if you're a martial artist and you're never wrong, you never make mistakes, you never drop your weapon, you never break a sweat, you never get bruises again, then you have no business being on the mats teaching from the neck up. And that's what it usually is. You teach it from here up, right? You have to move your body, your whole body. You have to demonstrate. You have to explain a little bit. You have to partner up, and you have to allow them to extend their backhand and smash your glasses into the side of your head. And then you have to get new glasses. I don't say that because it happens to me all the time. But you have to be in the fight still. You can't be teaching from the neck up. I don't care what it is. And that's what makes martial arts so unique and so great, is that a lot of good martial artists, all good martial artists, still are sore at the end of the day, right? You go to bed, and sometimes my wife still says, why are you so tired? I said, I taught 8 classes yesterday. Yeah, and it's more than no pain, no gain, Phil. It's more about because sometimes it's no pain, no gain kind of makes it seem like you have to have pain, but it's not that. It's like the more you do, the more you can do. Instead of no pain, no gain, I want to retire that one. That's been around so long. That came, from my old days at the Nautilus gym when I was like 16 years old. That was their motto when you walk through the door: no pain, no gain. And the old style bodybuilding. But now my philosophy, what I want you to think about is, the more you do, the more you can do. And especially as you get older, I talk about this all the time. I have a lot of older students who I work with in person, and they're like, I feel so much better. That last workout, I was a little tired, but not too much. You had me moving side to side, and I noticed I was getting faster. But it's been so gradual, it kind of snuck up on me. I didn't realize what we were doing until the last class. And I said, that's the way it's supposed to be. Don't burn yourself out like you did when you were 19. The more you do, the more you can do. Don't stop moving. Don't stop moving. That's the key. If you keep moving. Paul, I just had my 50th birthday last week. I think it was last week and a half ago. Something like that. On the 30th, January 30th, I turned 50. I still, until you asked me just now, I haven't said it. I haven't thought about it, right? But that's the key. The key is keep moving. Keep moving, start drinking more water, eat more green stuff, look at your vitamins, do more leg exercises, and stop looking for excuses. Almost everybody fights for a reason they can't do it. Start fighting for a reason to keep going. Fight for a reason not to give up. Fight for a reason not to quit. Fight's not over till you win. And there's that saying, you want to slide in to death or into the coffin sideways because you've used your whole body up or something like that. And I believe in that completely. But that's not like just hurting yourself for the sake of hurting yourself. That's being smart, being able, but pushing yourself, and thank you very much, pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. And because all the growth comes outside of the comfort zone. And I know these are all vague platitudes, but they're not when you start to put them into your training. When you start to think about actively, what makes me uncomfortable? Hitting myself between the legs because I wasn't paying attention. Let me do that, not hit myself, but let me do that technique again. Let me pay attention. Let me think about what I'm doing so I get better at it and better at it. Let me go faster. Let me go so fast I start dropping the weapon. Let me try a new technique I've never tried before. Let me do something that doesn't make any sense that someone else said, and I read it, and I watched their YouTube video, and I said, oh, they're full of whatever. Let me do that and see what, and invest myself in it before I have an opinion. Stop having an opinion so much. Stop having such strong opinions. It's all about mental flexibility. And as you age, and some of you know this, that flexibility goes like this. Your peripheral vision literally starts to go like this, but it doesn't have to. It only goes like this because you stop using it. And you stop using your flexibility. You stop working on the things that really matter, that make your life full and rich. And so that is where you get back out of your comfort zone, because you stop doing the things you don't want to do. That's that's the double-edged sword of growing up. You don't have to do the things you don't want to do. And if you stop doing a lot of those things, you stop growing. You start dying. You start going down the other side of that mountain. So anyway, get out your staff, smack yourself with it. Don't make the same mistakes that I did, but practice all the basic techniques. Get good with those first, and then learn. We'll go back to the spins and the hand changes and all the fancy techniques and all the things that are more fun to do with each style of bow staff, Joe staff. But start with the basics. Learn how to defend yourself first. Please send me comments. Please go to pasquinelli.com. I keep looking at I have this little app that shows me who's going there, if anybody's clicking on the ads or not, and I can't ask anybody to do that. That would be wrong. But I like to see, you know, like maybe somebody find something they were interested in. And so, yeah, never stop training. But I haven't seen anything. So if you have some time today, and I just uploaded a couple more posts, I just need some traffic there. I'm trying to get some traction there. I'm trying to shift a lot onto the online. My clients are here. I'll see you guys in a little bit.